For its 6-hour runtime, Scorn is a game I won't forget. Scorn isn't a horror game in the typical sense, but rather one that's an experience. You're not chased, you're not going to be frightened by jump scares. Its purpose is to be as atmospheric as it can be, and it achieves that superbly. Scorn is not a scary game, but it is a game that's engaging if you let yourself be immersed. Your character never speaks and never breaks into something he's not. He's part of this godforsaken world that left him to rot with no one around. He has to make his way somewhere to achieve his goal, and how he does that takes you through the world of Scorn. And the world of Scorn was inspired by the mind of H.R. Giger, the man plagued by his nightmare, who was told to draw them by his therapist, which made him one of the world's most ghoulish artists with a mind to draw surreal paintings. So, how does Scorn compare? The game is both grotesque and beautiful. It is as if the artist of the game had the brain of H.R. Giger and somehow extracted it. All the scenery, all the visual fidelity, everything in this game is beautiful. There's not a single aspect that I felt was out of place. Everywhere you go and anywhere you go, the world of Scorn are nightmarish dreamscapes coming to life. Unnerving and fascinating, Scorn oozes with love for H.R. Giger, and while his works were impressive, they gave an insight to a world beyond our means with no real context for what, why, or how. The devs for Scorn sought for a way to blend the world of his art and gaming together, and suffice to say, they executed an excellent job, but they came across a few bumps along the way. The game opens with the player character breaking out from something and landing on his feet in a place unknown. The world of Scorn is a mystification for us. It's a confusing hellscape that exceeds our interpretation of our own world. It's abandoned and collapsing. The only aspects left behind are you, the player character, the failed experiments, the creatures left behind rotting in their own filth, and the biomechanics you need to use in order to find a way out. Scorn has no dialogue, and his story is told throughout his world and scenery. The game not once holds your hands and tells you something. Everything you see is up to your interpretation. A similar game is Dark Souls. But with that, you have items with descriptions and conversations and other ways to understand the story. Here, Scorn has nothing. Everything you see is purely up to you. And like Dark Souls, that's the beauty of it. For you to make your own themes and conclusions as to what the story is about. While I do agree that the story does feel a little rushed towards the end, Scorn achieves its goal of being immersive. It's the gameplay that ruins it. At first glance through his initial teaser and later trailers, the marketing of Scorn was a little confusing. While Scorn achieves its goal of being immersive, it's the gameplay that ruins it. At first glance through his initial teaser and later trailers, the marketing of Scorn was a little confusing. They made the game seem to be something like Doom, when in fact the game is anything but. It's more like Myst with minor combat. The game aspect of this game can be what ultimately ruins someone's experience with it. For one, like Myst, the game is mainly a walking simulator that has you go around the areas you visit doing nothing but puzzles. There's nothing more to do outside of looking around and enjoying the scenery. But with Scorn, the scenery are disgusting, nightmarish landscapes, and the puzzles are fun. I really do enjoy them. In the first section, I only found one annoying. Thankfully, none of the other puzzles were like that. The only aspect of Scorn's puzzles I find that could be aggravating is that there are no hints. The puzzles are left ambiguous, and instead you have to rely on your own wits. I like that the game has you rely on yourself. The puzzles are deliberately meant to feel vague, and it gives them a sense of being uneasy. Each area you visit, you'll come across new puzzles with lots of variety, giving a feeling of progression. And speaking about progression, that's another issue that can be stated. While the game is linear, it can feel repetitive, like you're stuck in one place going nowhere. You will be confused and annoyed as to where you are and where you should go, but thankfully the game has a great art style that has you push through. You'll gradually notice that everywhere you're going is changing and the scenery is unraveling, telling a story that only you can make of it. However, if you're here for a reason for some plot to kick in, then this is a game not for you. The story comes from its visuals and it's something only you can make of it. And it's what kept me pushing through this game, where I would wonder where is the story going. Then you have the combat. This is what almost made me quit the game. These sections are horrendous. Nothing about them are fun. Just about every aspect is awful. The gunplay is too slow, even with multiple ones you gain. Enemies take too many hits to kill. They do too much damage. There's not enough ammo or health. Finding them is absurdly frustrating. You have to replenish them through some machine, and finding that machine is annoying. And when you do, it's even more annoying as it's a one-time use. Waste your ammo or used up all your health? Too bad, can't use that machine anymore. Time to find another. And this creates soft-locking issues that I've been succumbed to which I have to reload a checkpoint. But guess what? There are no checkpoints. This game has chapters. So even though I was 90% done with a chapter because I came to a softlock, I had to redo the whole goddamn thing again. Want to run away from a fight and not engage with this combat? Too bad, there are enemies that follow you, and some of them spawn in such ridiculous places that it feels like you have no choice but to fight. And knowing that you have a limited amount of health and ammo, the combat sections are a slug. You can't blast through with the fear of being softlocked. But despite all the faults of the combat, the mythology of HR Giga's work coming to life in video game form is what kept pushing me to the end. And it's his work and the work of the artist that kept me around. The idea that they created a world that felt like it came straight from Giga himself is outstanding, and is something to praise. While the game is anything but a scary game, it achieves everything from its original goal of keeping true to HR Giga's work. While the game is obscure and niche and will continue to be so, this is a game that I imagine will gain a cult following for being such a breath of fresh air. And honestly, there's not much more to add. I'm gonna give this game a solid 7 out of 10. The developers had a goal and they achieved it. They should be proud of what they've done, but if there's ever a Scorn 2 or anything that brings us back to this world, please, better combat. Or just outright remove it. And I did hear there was cut content, so hopefully that's something we can explore. That will be very cool. Anyway, that is it for me. Take care and see ya.